We are live as I embrace my inner Bruce Buffer. Welcome back, everyone. It's another edition of The Breakdown here on the LoudMouth MMA Podcast Network. Max Friedman here, trademark MMA on Twitter, all the way in the Netherlands. Joining me today, my illustrious co-host, Big Marcel Dorff. I hear you are one of Dana White's biggest fans on Facebook.
Stop it, man. Absolutely awful. You get these badges if you comment sometimes on some posts, and I was like Dana White top fan or something. You gotta get the fuck out of here, man. What's wrong with these people, man?
Are you one of Dana White's biggest fans?
Absolutely not. Probably one of Dana White's biggest criticizers. And I want to apologize for Max for doing that Bruce Buffer impersonation, because that was Man, I think many people already canceled the show right now, so sorry, guys.
They already turned us off. All right, we got to turn this thing around now. Big Marcel, it's another week of the breakdown, and this week we got UFC Fight Night, Jacare versus Hermansson. I'm saying the title of the main event, of the competitors in the main event, because let's be honest here, we don't know the name of this thing. It has more names than Diego Sanchez. I mean, this thing was UFC Miami, UFC Sunrise, UFC Fort Lauderdale, and then on top of that, they canceled it from being on ESPN. Originally UFC on ESPN3. Big Marcel, what's going on?
I don't know, man, but it's always like if they're going to Inglewood to the Forum, they always call it UFC LA, and it's like, that's in Inglewood. Just call it Inglewood. I know it's near, but stupid. Just like what was that other thing again? Was also close by, and they are like, oh yeah, let's call it that. Oh yeah, I know Uniondale is on Long Island. Is that right?
Yeah.
And they call it they call it UFC Long Island. That's okay, but it's in Uniondale. Why?
Big Marcel, look at you knowing your U.S. geography.
Yeah, of course, man. I always love geography, so yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. UFC Fort Lauderdale, UFC Sunrise, UFC on ESPN Plus. I have no clue. And UFC Fight Night 1. No, UFC on ESPN 3, is it? And what are we going to do now? They better not do it a Fight Night, because I have to rename all other ones.
Yeah, I hope not. I hope they just keep it as UFC on ESPN3, even though the main card is no longer on ESPN. Only the prelims are on ESPN.
Have you any idea why? Because I try to track that down. What's the issue? But nobody gives me a clear answer. Only suggest it's not a big enough fight to headline on ESPN. But
I was gonna say your guess is as good as mine. The second Yoel Romero pulled out, perhaps that had something to do with it. But I mean, he's not even the biggest name. You would think that would cause it. So who knows, man?
Yeah.
As a reminder, we are the Breakdown on the LoudMouth MMA Podcast Network. You can get the LoudMouth MMA Podcast Network wherever you get your podcasts. That's iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud. Got a bunch of great shows on the network. The Not Safe for Work MMA show. Fred Kirby, Kyle Steele killing it there. MMA Yesterday, Kyle and Keith. Great job breaking down UFC events of years past, and fitting because Keith's an old head, so it makes sense. He was probably around during those days. Some interviews, fight companions, and then we got the Around the Cage podcast. Great show hosted by our good friend Davidson Baker, fan-sided My MMA News. Does a great job there. Really fun show. Getting to debate the hot topics in the sport. Big Marcel, as we look ahead to this UFC Fort Lauderdale event, not sure about the official title, but we'll go with UFC Fort Lauderdale. Want to take a look at the season standings before we get into it. Last week, a very uneventful UFC St. Petersburg as far as our records go. 7-4, so a pretty respectable evening for both of us. Big Marcel, you're cleaning up on the bonuses though, man. You hit on Sergey Pavlovich, you hit on the fight of the night with Islam Makhachev, Arman Tsarukyan. That brings up your total of bonuses to 12. I only have 7. You also have 4 underdogs to my 3. I do still lead overall just slightly in the total record, 84-65 for 2019. 82-67 for you in 2019. Big Marcel, any last thoughts on St. Petersburg before we look ahead?
Not really, to be honest. It was an okay card, but it wasn't as great. It started very good, but it ended kind of like But gotta say that the co-main event was impressive, man. The grappling was very high level, I think, and yeah, I think it deserved fight of the night, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
hey, man, you're still leading in the picks, and that's the most important one. So yeah.
I don't know, man. Those bonuses are impressive. You almost got me doubled there.
There we go for triple.
All right. Well, UFC Fight Night, Fort Lauderdale, unsure what the real name is, takes place this Saturday, April 27, 2019, from the BB&T Center in Sunrise, Florida. We're going to go ahead and kick things off on the UFC prelims. Now, these can be found on ESPN2 at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That, if my calculations are correct, 11:30 p.m. Netherlands time for my co-host. So getting started just before midnight for you, Big Marcel.
Yeah, man. Awesome.
Back to usual. Back to the usual schedule.
Hey, man, but just a question. ESPN2, is that visible for everybody in the US or not? Because we don't have ESPN yet.
No. So if you have a cable package that includes ESPN, typically you get ESPN2 as well. If not, then you can watch on the ESPN app, but you also need to have a cable package to watch on that. If not, you're kind of out of luck. So those who are just ESPN Plus subscribers might not be able to watch the prelims on this one.
Yeah, okay.
Got to go to, what is it, Veronica TV over in the Netherlands and get the streaming.
By the way, I have to get this out of my thing, man. I mean, UFC Fight Pass. We had outside the US the international replay for the pay-per-view. We also had that like 48 hours after the event, and now out of a sudden they don't upload the international replay anymore. So I have to get loose fights, and it's very annoying, man, to actually watch. I would just want to start the card and watch the card, not have to fill in Israel Adesanya, Kelvin Gastelum, that fight. Now we're going further. Dustin Poirier, Max Holloway, that fight. That just sucks, man.
That's sorry to hear that. Yeah, I would really like to see those added to Fight Pass around the world quicker. I mean, who's gonna really be there to try to wait 3 days or 4 days to watch that event? I mean, what harm does it do to edit, 2 to 3 days?
They just want that.
I get that you want to capture those viewers who are going to buy it a day late, maybe 2 days late, but after that point, I mean, come on, man. Big Marcel stone-faced over there. All right, let's kick things off. In the welterweight division, Diego Lima, Court McGee, a couple of veterans here. Somehow these two haven't fought given their longevity in the sport. Both coming off wins with back-to-back losses prior to that. Tons of experience here. Man, Diego Lima's last performance, talk about an impressive knockout win for Chad Laprise. Is it the second coming of Diego Lima here? I mean, Court McGee's only been finished one time in his UFC career to Santiago Ponzinibbio. Big Marcel kicking things off at 170. What do you think?
Yeah, man, it's a tough matchup to pick, man, because Diego Lima looked great in his last fight against Laprise, what you said. And before that, I don't know, man. I thought Diego Lima was pretty much gone from the UFC, but I'm happy he's still around. I think he's a nice dude, but yeah, I think if it hits the ground, Court McGee has an advantage here, and I see it hitting the ground. So going with Court McGee by unanimous decision in this one. But if Diego Lima lands that punch he landed on Laprise, it can be night for Court McGee as well. But going for the safe pick here, I think I take Court McGee. Court McGee by decision win.
Yeah, he's a minus 165 favorite. Come back on Lima's plus 145. I agree with your sentiment. Diego Lima seems like a good guy, good family man. Like the way he fights. Happy to see he's getting another opportunity. I actually like him in this matchup. I think it's a good matchup. I think he can stay off his back and win the battles on the feet. Although Court McGee, a very high volume guy, always got to look out for that. But he's not a finisher, Court McGee, and I think that's where Diego Lima struggles most. So I'll take Lima here via decision in that one, taking the underdog early.
Should have got the performance of the night bonus against Laprise, in my opinion, by the way.
Oh, yeah. That was a nasty KO.
I just admitted you just wanted to have something different than me to start off this one.
You know what? I actually went back and forth, and then I was like, you know what? First instinct, Diego Lima's going to win this fight. Got to go with it.
First
That's what you would
instinct.
advise me to do.
Yeah, true. First instinct, always good.
All right. Moving along here, a battle in 115 pounds. Angela Overkill Hill steps in for her Alliance MMA teammate Jessica Penny to take on Jody Esquibel. Hill, a big minus 240 favorite, opened up at minus 195, so a lot of money coming in on her. The comeback on Jody Esquibel, Mrs. Caveman Coffee, plus 200 there. Hill, 2-fight losing streak and 2-4 in her last 6. Esquibel 0-2 in her UFC career, although razor close fights, both very close. Could have probably gone either way on either one of them. Esquibel seems like she's a little more aggressive, but Hill on the meanwhile seems like a far more technical striker in this one. Big Marcel, what's your take?
Yeah, man, this is a short notice fight for Angela Hill, and I still favor her in this fight. So I'm going to be short about this one because I'm really not looking forward to this fight. Angela Hill by unanimous decision.
Yeah, right there with you. I actually had Esquibel beating Jessica Penny, but I think Angela Hill offers a little bit tougher of a test on the feet. And man, she's probably hungry off that random Marcos one-sided.
Yeah, and plus she is the main training partner of Jessica Penny, so they probably had the same interest in training while they're preparing for Jody Esquibel. So
yeah, gotta think she's ready for that. All right, headlining these early prelims on ESPN2, Jim Miller taking on Jason Gonzalez. Jim Miller a minus 140 favorite, Gonzalez a plus 120 underdog. Man, Jim Miller, nothing left to prove, man. Still showing though he's got plenty left in the tank. He is coming off a loss here to Charles Oliveira. Superior grapplers really seem to be the issue that Jim Miller faces, although he is a very accomplished grappler in his own right. Jason Gonzalez got that moniker as the 90% striker, as Uriah Faber classified him on the Ultimate Fighter 22. Other than being huge for the weight class, I don't really see Jason Gonzalez offering a great skill set to really get this job done. He is 11-4 overall, 1-2 in the UFC, and has been out of action since November of 2017. This seems like the type of fight that Jim Miller wins. Big Marcel, do you see it any differently?
Nah, man, I'm right there with you. I think this is a Jim Miller win all over this one. Jason Gonzalez, he fought, I think, Greta Gillespie in his last fight. You can lose that one, of course, but yeah, overall, Jim Miller has much more all-around game, I think, and I think Jim Miller will probably submit him in the first or second round.
Yeah, I got Miller with a submission in the second round as well. Maybe that guillotine or maybe a rear naked choke, something. But
something choke.
Something choke. All right. Well, the first fight on the ESPN prelims could be a banger. Gilbert Burns taking on Mike Davis, the UFC newcomer, replacing Eric Wisely. And man, tough to see the situation with Eric Wisely. Went on that incredible run, 14-1-1 with a 9-fight win streak. And he got that UFC call since his UFC release in 2012. And not cleared to fight because of what appears to be a heart issue. And the great Davidson Baker actually told us it's the same condition that forced Dan Hardy out of action. Big Marcel, I know you were feeling the sentiment for little Lee Eric Wisely as well.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's a tough road to come back to the big show, and if you're back at the big show and you get like, how do you say that, you can't make your comeback because of stuff like that, it's always tough. And wish him all the best, man. I hope he can, how do you say that, recover from it. Yeah, right. Thanks for filling me in, man.
Yeah, me too. All the best. But nonetheless, he's been replaced, and we got a fight to break down. So Burns takes on Davis, the short notice UFC newcomer. Burns, we know the Hard Knocks 365 staple, really known for being a great coach, great teammate, great competitor. Very tactical win over Olivier Aubin-Mercier. Man, I almost said Oven St. Preux in Canada last time out. Mike Davis, Beast Boy, Florida local, 7-1 overall. That lone loss, though, comes to Sadiq Youssef on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, but has finished back-to-back fights since. Big Marcel, does the newcomer shock the world here, or is it going to be too much with the level of competition that he has to step up on this one?
Man, probably too much, man. I think Mike Davis is a great prospect. We saw him in the Sadiq Yusuf fight. I didn't agree with that line at that time. I think Sadiq Yusuf is a very good fighter as well. Was one of the best fighters of the Contender Series last year, I think. Got the Island Fights title in the fight after that. Short notice fight against Gilbert Burns, but man, Gilbert Burns is probably close to top 15 level, man, in lightweight division, and his ground game is sick. Is an amazing fighter. I think, man, I think there are levels to this one, and I think Gilbert Burns is still a level above Mike Davis, and I see Gilbert Burns getting the finish probably in the first or second round by submission. But Gilbert Burns, man, he's gonna go crazy all the time because he loves to strike as well, and he can get ruthless sometimes. But going with submission win.
Yeah, I like that, and I think he's going to get the TKO. I think he's going to get it to the ground and just have that definitive advantage. But there are levels to this, and 2019 has not been nice to newcomers, and I expect that. And one thing we didn't even mention, Mike Davis going up a weight class for this one.
Yeah.
All right. Moving along here. Good fight at 115 pounds. The number 9 ranked Carla Esparza, former UFC women's strawweight champion, a -145 favorite against the newcomer, former Invicta FC strawweight champion, undefeated 14-0, Verna Jandiroba, the +125 underdog. Big Marcel, what's to expect in this one? This is a close fight.
Man, Jandiroba, can't say enough about her, right? I mean, she's been on the View from France for so long time. I think finally she gets into the UFC. Pretty stupid, in my opinion, that it has to be on a short notice on a replacement, because she deserves to be in there for a long time, in my opinion. Very good showing in Invicta, the former champion over there. She comes as a champion to the UFC. Esparza on a 2-fight skid. But former champion and tough on the ground, and she's improving in every fight, in my opinion, despite losing 2 times after each other the last 2 fights. But yeah, I think this will be probably a ground battle, and I think Verna Jandiroba takes the unanimous decision win over Carla Esparza, getting the debut win on here.
I have not been as excited about a strawweight in a long time. Jandiroba is incredible. She is absolutely the real deal, and you're right. She should have been in the UFC a long time ago. Those incredible skills. She is 30 years old, and yeah, Esparza, always a tough out. Took that split controversial loss to Claudia Gadelha, but then took a really bad beating from Tatiana Suarez. Keeps getting really tough fights, man. No easy draws for the Cookie Monster. Very tough debut for Jandiroba, but I see her snatching a triangle. I don't know. That's just what comes to me. I know Esparza is hard to submit, but man, that's what I'm calling Verna Jandiroba, a triangle choke. I'll say third round.
Nice.
All right. We move up to heavyweight, lowest weight class in the UFC to the heaviest. The number 15 ranked Andre Arlovski taking on Augusto Sakai. Sakai, a -140 favorite. The Brazilian comeback on Arlovski, even money, +100 underdog. Sakai is one of those guys, man, nothing flashy, but very well-rounded, pretty diverse striking game. Won his UFC debut against Chase Sherman. Now he gets a little bit of a step up here. Still only 27, 3-fight winning streak. Only career loss we know was that split call to Czech Congo and Bellator. Meanwhile, Arlovski continued chugging along at age 40. He's lost 3 straight after winning back-to-back fights, and he is 2-8 in his last 10. Big Marcel, which way you leaning?
Yeah, man. I hate to pick against Arlovski, but I'm gonna do it right here, man. I think Sakai has the future probably with 27, and Arlovski is on his way out. So that's the thing that you have to take in mind. I don't think Arlovski will be an easy fight for him. Probably by, I think, a close decision, man. I think this will be an ugly fight, to be honest, and I'd see a close decision. Probably a split one, unanimous split, but not a fight I'm really looking forward to. I think it will be. It will be tough to watch. Let's keep it at that.
Right there with you. Although you did say the same sentiment about the Shamil Abdurakhimov and Marcin Tybura fight last week, and see how that one finished. But we'll see. Heavyweights, you never know.
But you like that fight before the finish?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Nonetheless, headlining the ESPN prelims, a battle at 170 pounds. Killer B, Ben Saunders back taking on Takashi Sato. Sato, the newcomer, a minus 210 favorite. He's been climbing up from the minus 185 opening. Comeback on Ben Saunders, plus 175. Saunders actually originally set to face Mike Perry in this one. Before Perry ended up taking the Cowboy Oliveira. Saw 1-4 in his last 5, finished in all of them. Seems to be having a hard time taking those big shots these days, as I appear to have lost my co-host. No big deal. Takashi Sato, a former his title challenge, his last 6, and that comes to Glyco Francis, fighter Brazil. I believe he's in 4 winner. Went 1-2 in the UFC. Unfortunately, Jake and Gregor Gillespie. Nonetheless, Sato 5 finishes in those 6 wins, all with strikes. He can catch Saunders and get the finish early. That's what I'm leaning towards, the Sato early TKO. Big Marcel, as we welcome you back, how do you see this Ben Saunders Takashi Sato fight going?
I think Takashi Sato is a great fighter, man. I really liked him in what I saw in Pancrase. He lost the title fight against Gleiko Franca, but I'm still, I don't know if you have followed me for that long on Twitter, but I've always been very pissed about Gleiko Franca getting cut from the UFC. I'm happy he's at the PFL right now.
If you wouldn't have dropped out of the video call, you would have heard my 2 cents on Gleiko Franca.
Sorry?
You dropped out of the call because of your technical difficulties, and while you were gone, I was enlightening the crowd just about how Takashi Sato's 1 loss in his last 6 fights to Gleiko Franca, former Tough Brazil season 4 winner, 1-2 in the UFC, got cut. 2 losses though to James Vick and Gregor Gillespie. Go ahead. Okay. I agree with you. Shouldn't have gotten cut, and just look at his body of work since being released. Absolutely one of the better fighters outside the UFC. Should be back in the UFC, and it looks like I've lost my co-host again. Gleiko Franca now will head to the Professional Fighters League and look to capture that welterweight title over there. Big Marcel is back. Had to ad-lib a little bit. I talked about Gleiko Franca, and now he's headed to the PFL.
The internet is absolutely trash.
Big Marcel, break down this fight.
I barely hear you, so I'm just going to give my pick. Takashi Sato by TKO in the 2nd round.
All right. We go to the main card, and kicking things off, we have a really fun up-and-coming talent fight at 155 pounds. Ro Roberts. Many remember him from the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series, a minus 365 favorite against the UFC newcomer, the Lion, the region +3 underdog. Awesome fight here. Roastriously putting it all together at this point in time. Completely dominant in his UFC debut over Daryl Horcher, getting that submission. That's a 15-fight vet. He absolutely dominated in that one. Still 25. A lot of submissions. For the young Lion, unbeaten in the guillotines and triangles on his resume. Big Marcel, as we welcome you back. Ro Roberts, Thomas Gifford, give us your
Man, the internet is absolute trash here. I'm sorry, guys. But, Ro Roberts by TKO in the 1st round. I really can't say anything else. I'm sorry, guys. but I'm absolutely lagging over here. I can't hear Max at all, so I hope you can hear me. That's it. I'm sorry, guys. Man, I'm super annoyed about it.
In the third for me. Hey, you know what? We carry on. We fight through it. We got a battle at 135 pounds that should be a fun one here. Hands of stone, John Lineker, the number 8 ranked men's bantamweight in the world, a minus 140 favorite against Corey Sandhagen, plus 100 underdog. Tough one to call here. Sandhagen, flawless in the UFC thus fight, almost getting finished by Yuri Alcantara, a 3-0. 10 overall, super tall for the weight class. Facing his toughest test yet. Lineker, hands of stone. We know he's got the power to put the lights out. But only 2 fights in the last 2 years, both wins. Marlon Vera and Brian Kelleher, not exactly top competition. Actually, Lineker, a guy who's been ranked for a while now. Played by Jimmy Rivera and Dominic 1 point. Only 5'3" versus Sandhagen, who I believe is 5'11". Big Marcel, 135 pounds. How do you see this one going? Ooh, tough timing. We lose Big Marcel. So I'm going to give you my take here. John Lineker can get back to his ways. If he gets inside, I think he can land those bombs that he's known for, the ones that put guys like Michael McDonald away and we know Lineker can take a punch too. I know Sandhagen works really closely with former UFC bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw. Sandhagen, though, man, it's really hard to tell with him. Is he when he faces a top competition, a bona fide ranked opponent like a Lineker? I'm going to take the underdog here, Sandhagen, with a unanimous decision. Interesting to see my co-host Big Marcel take when he comes back. But John Lineker, man, hands of stone, thought for a while he was going to be one of those title challengers to really step up at 135 pounds, especially after that nasty win over Michael McDonald a few years back. But ran into TJ Dillashaw, was completely outclassed in that one. And as we mentioned, TJ Dillashaw, training partner of Corey Sandhagen. Then after that, had those fights with Marlon Vera, a pretty one-sided decision win there, and then Brian Kelleher, who he did end up getting the knockout of over. Nonetheless, man, a good fight at 135 pounds. We'll wait and see what Big Marcel says. Be a fight of the night candidate, though. Who knows, man? These guys do like to swing, and should be a fun one. Let's go ahead and we'll move along here, and we'll let Big Marcel catch up. Light heavyweight matchup here. Glover Teixeira, the number 11 ranked comeback. Big Marcel's back.
I'm really annoyed. I'm sorry.
We got him.
Your turn.
Hey, no worries. Your turn. Your turn with Lineker and Sandhagen.
I've taken Corey Sandhagen by the unanimous decision.
God, I thought we were going to differ there, but no, we got the same thing. How do you see him getting it done?
By unanimous decision, man. I think I see him probably being too strong to keeping the distance and taking it by points, probably standing. I can't talk too much because it will lag again and I'm out again. So just ask me for my picks, man. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, man. I'm really annoyed right now, man, because of this kind of bullshit, man. I know it's not your fault, it's not my fault, but this stupid fucking internet, man.
Good action here.
Piss me off, man.
Nonetheless, Glover Teixeira and Hey, we want the internet get to us. An underdog in this one, despite being a high-ranked fighter, plus 135. The comeback on the heavy-handed Iwan Kutelaba out of, man, I'm going to mess this up. I can't remember what country's from. Moldova. That's it. Iwan Kutelaba is from Moldova, right, Big Marcel?
What's up?
Big Marcel.
Yeah,
Iwan
he's from
Kutelaba
Moldova.
is from Moldova, correct? Okay. Let's go ahead. What's your take on this light heavyweight fight
That's
here?
a tough one, man, because I think Kutelaba has not the real great ground game, and Glover can wrestle him if he wants, but he has to watch for the knockout punch. They both have it, but yeah, taking Teixeira by unanimous decision in this one, but I'm not sure about this
one. Man, we're not different at all today. Teixeira, man, he's turned himself and kind of to a different fighter in recent years. Really using that. But the question is, can he avoid that knockout punch? Like my illustrious co-host said, Kutelaba, we've seen what he can do on the feet. A lot of power in those hands. These are the kind of fights, though, for me, that Glover Teixeira seems to thrive on. And even though he's going to have to avoid the whirlwind on the feet, the fast starter, and Kutelaba, I think he gets the takedown and he doesn't let go. And we'll get that rear naked choke late in the first round. All right, we move along to a very violent fight at 170 pounds. Alex Cowboy Oliveira taking on Platinum Mike Perry. Just pure violence. Alex Oliveira, 185 favorite. The comeback on Perry is plus 160. Man, whoever's not a fan, back-to-back, he is fine. All of those he is finished. Perry, 1-3 in his last 4. Submitted Donald Cowboy Cerrone last time. I could see Cowboy getting this fight to the ground, but I could also see Perry using his technical striking feet. Big Marcel, your violence.
I don't know if you hear me. I don't hear you, man. I'm taking Cowboy Oliveira by submission in the second round.
Big Mike Perry next decision. I think he gets it done. Just I don't think Oliveira is able to drag him to the ground. He's got the better technical stare.
I haven't heard a word you said.
Co-main event time, controversial one. Greg Hardy taking on Dmitry Smolyakov. Hardy minus 300 favorite. The comeback this out. Greg Hardy is all over the place on sports books, man. He ranges anywhere from minus 185 to minus 330. So all across the board, different books giving Greg Hardy different odds on this one. This seems like a fight where the UFC is really pushing to get the Hardy. I mean, they're making him a main event, giving him a matchup against a guy who is 0-2 UFC, some of the lifeguard. Now, he was supposed to fight twice in the UFC since his UFC ended up getting scrapped. Somehow he was off the roster and wins a fight in Russia via Kimura earlier this year. So really odd situation. Maybe the date in which he was able to get a fight expired. Not really sure. Nonetheless, Smolyakov showed some horrendous ground first 2 UFC fights, was continually taken down, passed his guard, and pounded out. Now he gets the heavy-handed Hardy. Hardy, we know, 0-1 in the UFC, coming off that DQ loss to Alan Crowder. Book on Hardy is simple. He's a big guy who loves to throw hands. Big Mar on the co-main event. Big Marcel, can you hear me?
Barely, man. I hear you say hear me, so probably
All right.
talking
Well,
to
my
me.
pick is going to be Greg Hardy. What's your
Yeah, Smoljakov
Greg Hardy
isn't
versus
that smart of a
Smolikov?
fighter to take him to the ground immediately, so he gets knocked out in the first round by Greg Hardy.
All right. Big Marcel's got Greg Hardy by a knockout in the first round. I do as too as well. We go to the main event of the evening. 5 rounds in the UFC's middleweight division. Ronaldo Jacare Souza, the number 4 ranked UFC middleweight, taking on Jack the Joker Hermanson. Jacare currently sitting at Anson as he replaces back on the Joker out here and see what his pick is in this main event. And plus, I'm going to let Ronaldo Souza. Jacare is coming off a knockout win over Chris Weidman. Prior to that, he had a split decision loss to Kelvin Gastelum, but prior to that, a knockout of Derek Brunson. Brilliant jiu-jitsu, heavy hands, like the work he's been doing with Julian Williams at Fusion XL. Hermanson the light heavyweight toe has been on the best run of his career. 3 straight wins, 5-1 challenger. Quickly dispatched of Dave Branch's last time out with an arm and guillotine. That's a Henzo Gracie black belt he choked out. I just can't see Hermanson's cookie jerky unorthodox attacks getting past such a highly decorated, established top guy like Ronaldo Souza. Jacare stumbles him on the feet in this one and locks in a submission, maybe a Kimura late in round 1. That's how I see it going. I'm trying to get the attention of Big Marcel here to give his pick.
I guess I'm on Jacare first round submission. I think it's he's too how do you say that, experienced to get surprised by Hermanson, and his ground game is too good, and yeah, he's just too good in all around. And I see him probably picking apart Hermanson and finishing it with let's say a guillotine first round. I hope you got that, but yeah, okay.
Big Marcel calling the guillotine.
Sorry again for the technical difficulties, guys, but man, this is absolutely horrible right now. The bonuses. Oh, I haven't even thought about that. Probably Greg Hardy, because the UFC loves Greg Hardy. Jacare Souza. And the fight of the night we're giving to, yeah, of course, Corey Anderson against John Lineker. Did you hear that?
I got you. And you got 2 more picks to make.
Luck of the night and dog. I don't know which underdogs I all pick, so you have to tell me that.
Verna Jandiroba.
Yeah, I pick her.
I
pick Verna Jandiroba. And luck of the night, we're taking Roosevelt Roberts.
Evening fight of the night to Mike Perry and Cowboy Oliveira. That's an easy one for me. I will take Ronaldo Souza Jacare for performance of the night. I will also take lock of the definitely a good option, but I am going to go with Jim Miller matchup he had against that Jason Gonzalez. So let's go ahead and run down quick before out of here. Going to run down just real quick, starting from the bottom to top. We differ to open things up. Big Marcel's got Court McGee. I've got the underdog Diego Lima. Second fight of the night, we have Angela Hill getting it done over Jody Esquibel. Third fight of the night, Jim Miller getting it. Jim Miller is my lock pick for the evening. Fourth fight, we got both have Gilbert Burns finishing the newcomer Mike Davis. Fifth fight, we're both taking the underdog Bernat Yandiroba to get it done again.
Guys, I
the
don't hear anything
title challenger
right now.
Carlos Esparza. Big Marcel
guys.
has taken.
Peace out to you, Max. I'm absolutely done with this shit, man. I have a headache from here to there. Sorry, guys. Take care. Thanks for having me. I will be back next week. Sorry, guys.
So Big Marcel had some technical difficulties, some internet. I have him getting it done against Ben Saunders. Both have Roosevelt Roberts getting it done against Thomas Gifford. Roosevelt Roberts is Big Marcel's lock of the evening. Corey Sandhagen, both having him cashing as an underdog against John Lineker. That is Big Marcel's pick for fight of the night. Glover Teixeira getting it done against Iwan Kutelaba. He is both my underdog pick of the evening as well as a performance of the night bonus pick. Fight of the night pick for me is this next one between Mike Perry and Alex Oliveira. I have Perry. Big Marcel has Oliveira. We both have Greg Hardy getting it done by a first-round knockout in the co-main event of the evening, and we both have Ronaldo Jacare Souza beating Jack the Joker Hermanson with the submission in the first round. Due to some technical difficulties Big Marcel had, hopefully we were able to adjust on the fly a little bit and salvage what we could. But thanks everyone again for be sure to subscribe to all the shows on the network and really check those out. Highly encourage it. Thanks everyone. Enjoy UFC Fort Lauderdale, and we will be back next week to talk UFC Ottawa. Take